Hey, Bill Bergfield here, and want to get into a quick topic here for just a second. I just spent the last 30, 45 minutes visiting with a couple about what they're going to do in their retirement years. And it reminded me that I've sat across the table from a lot of couples trying to plan out their retirement. And just like this one, almost every time we get about 20 minutes into the conversation and one of them looks at the other one and says, well, you've never told me that before. I've never heard that. Why haven't you said something? I didn't know you felt that way. I didn't know you felt that way about how we were spending our money. You know, after 30, 40 years of marriage, here's what's funny. This statement seems to spark some amazing conversations. And they're conversations I think that most retired couples really, they try to avoid it. Now, don't get me wrong here, not because they don't love each other. That's not what I'm saying. It's just because that conversation is uncomfortable for one, or probably for both. And what I want to do is I want to maybe give you some suggestions on how to actually turn the conversation into a productive conversation instead of letting it become a fight. Because we certainly want to avoid that. Here's what I see, and I see it over and over again. Couples are great at talking about, the easy stuff. Do we need to buy another car? Or are we going to try to go on a vacation this year? Those kind of things. They often have conversations about who's going to stop work first. And every now and then they may have conversations about account balances, things like that. But what they're really not good at, they're not good at talking about the stuff underneath the money numbers. They're not good at talking about what money actually means to both of them, what it means to them individually, and sharing that information with their spouse. And here's the thing. This money thing, it's not a math problem. It's an assumption problem. We just assume, our spouse knows what we think. And for some of you, you're probably saying, they know exactly what I think, but that's not really the case. One partner might assume that retirement means finally relaxing, slower mornings, no more alarm clock, spending a little more free time because I earned it. The other partner might assume something totally different. You see, they might assume that retirement means it's time for us to start being really careful about what we're doing because the paycheck's not going to come in anymore, and every withdrawal from our savings seems to shut down on the amount of years we're going to be able to enjoy life. So I want to make sure you understand that as I get into this discussion, neither spouse is wrong. Neither one of them are wrong. They just have different pictures, different mental models of what retirement's supposed to look like and what the money is supposed to be spent on. And the crazy thing is they never sit down face to face and have just a legitimate, normal, quiet, easy, let's talk it out conversation. They've only talked about the dollar amount and never really discussed anything about why they think that way. What's the meaning behind I'm saying? And it's that meaning behind that forces the conversation to be avoided. See, it's not the numbers that's scaring them. It's not the money numbers. It's finding out that you and maybe your spouse have been picturing two different retirement lifestyles this whole time. And that becomes a little scary. In almost every couple that I've worked with, there's a pattern. And it's noticeable only when you go back and think about it for a little bit. It's not a universal thing, but it's I think it's common enough that I think you'll probably recognize it. One partner is, I'm going to label them the numbers person. They're the one that's checking the balance on the accounts, running the projections for what's going to happen next week and how much we're going to take out next month. Maybe paying it too close attention to the market, the stock markets, and losing sleep over what's happening with the markets, the ups and downs, and all that stuff. The other partner is not the numbers person. They're the big picture person, and they just have this idea, or they just trust that things are going to be fine. It's going to work out. It doesn't. They don't want to think about spreadsheets. Now that's me. My comment is, it's going to be all right. That's what I always say. This is one that's personal. Deb is the numbers person here. And I'm the one that always says, hey, let's enjoy the time we have left. Everything's going to be fine. Well, if that's you too, I want to say this clearly. This isn't a flaw in either one of you. Neither one of you are wrong. It's not that one of you is bad with money and the other is good or responsible with money. It's the difference in how you each process risk versus uncertainty. And when that difference goes without being spoken, it turns into something that looks like, well, no, it doesn't look like, it becomes conflict. But it's not really a fight, folks. It's just a translation failure. You're not communicating completely. The numbers person feels like they feel like they're carrying the weight of the whole household all by themselves. And because of that, anxiety, I'm pretty sure, sets in, and anxiety comes out in the form of more control, needing to check in more, maybe questioning even small purchases. And then what's even worse, bringing up worst case scenarios if we do that. Whereas on the other hand, the big picture, the easygoing person feels like they're being managed, or like they're being, let me put it this way. They feel like their partner doesn't trust their judgment, and that comes out in the form of avoidance. They brush off real concerns. They especially don't want to talk about anything, and so they wind up just keeping quiet just to keep the peace. So here's the reframe I want to help you understand. I want you to walk away with this from this video. It's not a fight about money, folks. It's not. That's not it at all. It's two people with different anxiety thermostats trying to live in the same house. Once you figure it out, once you name it that way, once you name it out loud together, the whole conversation loses the tenseness. It gets easier. So at this point, you're probably saying, okay, how do we have this conversation without it turning into round 55 of the same old argument? I sat down and I created a structure for this years ago, helping folks work through this. And it's a structure that works. And I want you to take this structure, treat it like a scheduled meeting, not a spontaneous conversation that seems to sneak up and ambush one or the other on a Tuesday night after a long, stressful day. Here's step one. Pick a low stakes moment. Not during a financial crisis, not when you're struggling, not after a big purchase disagreement. Pick a quiet weekend morning, maybe. Cup of coffee, no cell phones, no family, and just look at each other and talk. That's step one. Pick a quiet moment. Step two, start discussing your vision. Each one of you have a vision of where retirement should be. Don't start with discussing numbers, because that's how the fight's going to start. Don't bring out a spreadsheet. Here's what I suggest. Answer this question out loud. When you picture a really good day for the two of us during our retirement years, say maybe 2, 3, maybe 5 years from now, describe for me what it looks like. Just describe it. Don't listen and then try to correct the other person's picture, because their picture may not be yours. Don't correct them. Just let them talk it out. Here's where it's important that you really become a good listener. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Mouth shut, ears open. Here's what will happen. You'll be surprised how often this reveals the gap in understanding between your spouse's good day and your definition of a good day. It involves a lot of, it involves dinners out, trips, generosity toward grandkids, good days, low cost, let's stay at home, that kind of thing. Neither one of you is wrong. But if you never sit down face to face and talk about it out loud, one budgeting version is going to be the opposite of the other version. And you may want something that your spouse is certainly against and doesn't want. So, sit down with number 2 and make your discussion without a spreadsheet. Step 3, agree on your top 3 spending priorities together. There's going to be a whole long list of spending priorities, definitely. Your list, her list, his list, both of you. You're going to take your list, you're going to combine it, you're going to make one big long one. But as you create that list, talk about it and figure out what the top 3 spending priorities are that make both of you happy, both of you comfortable. Don't try to isolate 10 or 8 or 6. Find just 3. See, everything can't be funded at once. And in the real world, it's virtually impossible. These are the 3 things that as a team, you learn to protect them. They're the things that get protected first. This turns my spending into our spending. And it turns what I want into what we want. It turns my priorities into our priorities. Completely different emotional setup and a completely different emotional conversation. Step number 4. Put a number on enough. Not a magic number pulled from some article or some book somewhere or some financial planner's number. Create your number based on your priorities. What is a year of retirement that you both described together actually going to cost? This is where you loop in the numbers part. This is where the numbers person, their strength gets to become a foundation for the rest of the whole thing, the whole retirement thing. And it does so without letting anxiety or tension run the show. So describe what your, as a team, retirement's going to cost. Step number 5, schedule the next check-in. Have a meeting from a meeting. This is the part everybody I talk to seems to skip. One conversation is not going to settle it forever. I want you to understand that. Pick a date on the calendar, maybe quarterly. That's probably a good idea. And let this become a rhythm, this conversation become a rhythm. And so it's something that you can share together and look forward to rather than making it a dreaded event. Now, what happens if you try all this and you still hit a wall? That's pretty normal, believe me. Some money differences will run deep. Some are tied to how each of you grew up or things that happened earlier in your marriage maybe. You don't have to solve everything in one conversation. Recognize that. And here's the most important part. You don't have to solve it alone. You're not going to solve it alone. You can only solve it together as a team. I suggest you find a financial advisor, a good one, and recognize that it's just, that person's just there to manage your investments. They're not there to tell you how to live your retirement. A lot of the real value they add is sitting in the room as a neutral third party, so that the conversation about spending priorities isn't just, well, just both of you discussing the same disagreement. Sometimes just having someone else in the room changes the whole tone. So a trusted financial advisor is important. Here's what I want you to take away. The retirement conversation most couples avoid isn't really about, it's not about money. It's about making sure you're both picturing the same lifestyle future before you're in it. So this week, here's what I want you to do. Try this. Pick a quiet moment. Ask each other, what a good day in retirement, what should it look like? Just that one question. See where the conversation goes from there. See where it takes you. If any of this was helpful, please subscribe. I put out new videos all the time, working through exactly the conversations and questions that people are afraid to ask just before and even after they retire. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, subscribe to the channel and just stay tuned. Hey, I promise there's more good stuff coming. Okay. Hey, have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.